my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Friday challenge where I get you to look through your long boxes, try to find something cool to show based on a theme. Now, last week we did 80s comics. This week I figured, hey, let's go back another decade and look at 70s comics, like the Bronze Age of comics. And basically what I'm going to do is for my collection, I'm going to show my top 10 Bronze Age keys, which I think will be interesting. And if you want to, participate, you can show your top 10 or your favorite Bronze Age keys, whichever you prefer. Yeah, I'd like to tag a few channels on this. I'd like to tag Alex the Comic Quarter, and I'd like to tag Lunch Money Comics. I'd like to tag Big B McFly, the comic book guy, or the comic guy. And I'd like to tag What's on the Comic Rack. So, and Garage Geek, and Epoch, who usually participates, and also Mr. E, Low Grade King. So I'd like to tag all those guys and say, hey, look, participate in this challenge. It'll just be a fun one. And show your biggest Bronze Age keys or your favorite Bronze Age keys, and it should be a good one. One more thing, when you make your video, if you could tag people with this challenge, it'd be great. So I want to spread the word a bit. So let's get into the books. Enough talking. We're going to start with my number 10, and it is Ghost Rider number 1. I have had such luck with this book. So this one was, when I originally got the book, you'll see it's a 9.0. It was pretty wrinkly looking. It was actually like one of those ones that I thought would maybe be a 4, like really low grade. And so I bought it as a 4. But the guy that sold it to me, he was, he said, I can probably press out those wrinkles. It's not that bad. And when he did, not only did the wrinkles come out, but it did not break any, like there's no color, there's no color breaking spine ticks. It is actually very, very solid. I'm actually surprised it only got a 9. It is actually a very, very solid book. Which is amazing. You should have seen it before. So yeah, it was like, it's a completely new book almost. So it's just, this is Ghost Rider number 1 and a 9.0. So that's my number 10 on my list. So pretty great book. The next on my list is Tomb of Dracula number 10, which is the first appearance of Blade. Character I really liked. I really enjoyed the Blade movies. I thought they were totally underrated. Some of the best action movies. I love vampires. I was a big vampire fan. So yeah, every Halloween I dress up as a vampire. Not as Blade, but as a vampire. So this is Tomb of Dracula number 10, and it's from 1973, which is my birth year. And it's the first appearance of Blade, Vampire Slayer. Just a really great book. Really great character, too. Okay, so that's number 9 on my list. Number 8 is one I was really excited to get. I was so happy when I got this book. This is Amazing Spider-Man 129. It's a reasonable grade. This is the first appearance of the Jackal, and also a bigger character, the Punisher. I always like to say the Jackal first because everyone's like, oh, it's the Punisher, but I always like to say it's the Jackal because he's awesome. They both made the first appearance in this book, and it's just a really cool book. I love the cover, love these yellow covers, and I just think it's really cool bullseye kind of cover. So yeah, so this is from 1974. I didn't even realize it was that old, this book. I always thought this was more like late 70s, but the fact that it's from 1974, which is really interesting. I was only 1 year old. Didn't read this book at the time, but I was too young. But definitely a great one. This is Amazing Spider-Man 129. Number 7 on my list is another really great book. Is Jimmy Olsen's pal, uh, Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, I should say, 134, which is the first appearance of Darkseid. Now, in this, I always feel like it's a very questionable appearance. It's actually considered a cameo, but it is the worst first appearance in my opinion, because yes, they're talking about Darkseid, and they do show Darkseid, but he is like black and white. He's on a TV in the background, and it's just like they show his head, and it's barely recognizable that it is him. And yeah, it's but it is the first. Does it say first cameo? First appearance of Darkseid in cameo. Full page ad for Forever People #1, New Gods #1, and Mr. Miracle #1. So that's pretty cool. Lots of good ads there. This is from 1970, and Forever People #1 is really what I consider to be Darkseid's first appearance. So I'd be curious what people think in the comments below. Where is Darkseid's first appearance? And I never liked this cameo versus first full. It's always one of those annoying things, because it becomes like there's like a million cameos for certain characters, like Gwen Stacy and all those ones. Where it's like, or yeah, where it's like, where's her first, or not Gwen Stacy, but MJ. MJ is the worst. I mean, yeah, just so many cameos for her. Okay, next on my list is another big book that has a lot of first appearances in it. This is Giant Size X-Men #1, and it is from, what year is this from? 1975. My copy would have actually graded it much higher, but there was some goo on the top. If it wasn't for that goo, it's actually a pretty nice copy. So this is like the first appearance of like Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, who else? Thunderbird, and second full appearance of Wolverine. And basically it's all the new X-Men that form the X-Men that really most people recognize as the X-Men. You know, you don't have like Professor X or you know, the early Iceman and Beast and all those ones, but these are a lot of the main X-Men that people relate to, especially Storm and Wolverine and Colossus, I would say, are the big ones. Definitely a big big key book. So yeah, so this is Giant Size X-Men from 1975. Pretty cool book. Okay, so we're now halfway down the list. The next one on the list is Luke Cage Hero for Hire, #1, and this is the first appearance of Luke Cage. If you didn't watch the Jessica Jones show, you missed out, because Luke Cage is pretty awesome in it, and he's a really cool character. So we got this is from 1972, and it says origin and first appearance of Luke Cage, first appearance of Diamondback. So another character made his first appearance in this book. This one is like notoriously hard to get in high grade because of the black cover. Just the black border, just you can see even just from me holding this book, you can see right in here there's a spine tick. Like the black just brings out the spine tick, so it's really hard to get it in that high grade. So this is Hero for Hire #1, first appearance of Luke Cage. That's #5 on my list. #4 on my list is another really great Bronze Age key. It's Werewolf by Night. And this book has really gone through a roller coaster. This is Werewolf by Night 32, first appearance of Moon Knight. And as I was saying, it's gone through a big roller coaster in terms of price. It was a pretty pricey book at one point. It was one that I had always wanted. It was sort of like that cool book, that cool guy's book. Back in the 90s, they would always kind of talk about how cool this book was. And I wasn't familiar with Moon Knight at the time. But they would always kind of say, oh, Moon Knight is kind of like the DC, Batman from DC, but Marvel's version of Batman. So it's like Marvel's Batman. And it's just a really great cover, even just like, you get him fighting with Silver, and he's fighting against Werewolf by Night. So that's just a really cool cover, and a cool story. Actually, if you read the first ones, he's like a bounty hunter, and you can tell he was not meant to be like a character that I think they were going to do much with. But his coolness factor really was high, and they ended up making him his own character and his own storylines with him. So just a really cool guy. I wasn't a big fan of the TV series, and I think that's why this book has really come off its heights. But still, I think it's a great character. So it's Werewolf by Night, number 32 from 1975. Okay, this next book is one that's really kind of a key book, not just for what it, the book itself, but for what it signifies for the age of the Bronze Age. This is Green Lantern, Green Arrow, number 1. Or not number 1. It's actually Green Lantern number 76, but it's really number 1. And the reason I was saying number 1 is it's the first time that they sort of both are in the title and sort of their team up. But the type of storytelling that was in this book was very different than what had happened in the Silver Age. This was much more serious, gritty storytelling, much more reflective of the golden age of comics in terms of the storytelling. So this book is considered to be the first Bronze Age comic for DC, at least. So it's just a really great book, really cool green cover as well. It says Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Green Arrow stories begin. And it's a Neil Adams cover as well, which makes it even cooler. So so DC Comics from April 1970. So very early 70s book, and really the one that most people associate with the beginning of the Bronze Age of comics. The story that I always hear is that the writers for comics had sort of aged, and they also, the audience that was reading comics had grown up, and they wanted to kind of reflect that within the comics. So you get a lot of new artists and new creators that had grown up with comics, that were now old enough to be creating comics, that wanted to tell stories that appealed to them. So very interesting time, Bronze Age. So this is number 3 on my list, but now we're up to number 2. What's number 2 on my list? Well, it's another big book. This actually was a funny one, because this one had, during the peak COVID time, it had a record sale of, I think it was like 180,000 or something crazy, some really big price for a 9/8. And it was just, it was considered the number 1 most expensive Bronze Age key at just one brief point. So this is Marvel Spotlight number 5. Is the first appearance of the Ghost Rider. It is also a really cool cover, because he's kind of jumping out of the panel that's on the cover. It's the frame cover. So we got, first, okay, what does it say? First appearance of Roxanne Simpson, and first origin and first appearance of Ghost Rider Johnny Blaze. So just a cool book. Another one that's notoriously hard to get in high grade because of the black cover, but just a really cool one. Ghost Rider is just such a great character. I always thought he was interesting. I even enjoyed the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. So Marvel Spotlight number 5. Okay, last and probably the most obvious big Bronze Age key is Hulk 181, the second appearance of Wolverine. Now, unlike Darkseid, where, you know, it's really just his head on a TV screen. Um, this is a little bit different than that. This is like they say his name is Wolverine on 180, and they show him like in a full panel, and they name him Wolverine. So that's why I consider 180 his first appearance. But you know, people more gravitate to this book, obviously, because Wolverine is on the cover, and that's what makes it extra cool. And it's just such a classic cover. This cover has been homaged a million times. You got you know, Wolverine just smacking down poor Hulk. So yeah, this is Incredible Hulk number 181 from Marvel Comics 1974. It says, first full appearance of Wolverine and Wendigo appearance. Wendigo. So this one is restored, but it has only a slight amount of color touch. I think they actually were trying to remove it too, because it's like, it's very slight. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Or no, sorry, it's not even color touch. Sorry, I'm mistaken. It's this. It actually is this. The cover was reattached with glue. So that's basically it for this my top 10 list from the Bronze Age. If you want to participate, all you have to do is make your own video where you show your top 10 Bronze Age comics, and use the hashtag Friday Comic Challenge and hashtag 70s covers. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, you know, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't noticed, I'm up for a major award with CBCA, and I hope that you can vote for me. Basically, I'm up for the best unboxing channel for my for my channel, and I'll put the link in the description, and you can just vote for me if you want. I hope you can vote for me. So thanks again for watching. Bye for now.